Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the 2023 reorganization meeting for Monday, January 2nd, 2023. Mr. Lauer, please call the roll.
Ms. Shanafeld will not be here tonight. Dr. Porosco?
Here.
Mr. Arcuri?
Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Rouse?
Here.
Okay, I'll ask for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for the sake of the audience and anybody that's watching tonight's meeting, the first 20 minutes or so is going to be just reappointment of positions, different township committees, different professional consultants, whatnot. First item is going to be election of a chairman. We alternate chairman every year, so at this time, does anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to first congratulate and recognize your service
Thank you.
for the past year, and I would nominate Frank Kozer.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. Here's switching seats now. Perfect.
Fellow members of council, thank you for your confidence. It is appreciated. Looking forward to what will hopefully be a uneventful and productive year. At this time, the chair will entertain nominations for vice chairman.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Porosco.
I'll second it.
I nominate Mr. Lewis.
I'll second.
How are we going to do this? Roll call?
We're going to do a roll call. Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Lauer.
Mr. Rust?
Mr. Porosco.
Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Porosco? Dr. Porosco?
Oh, Dr. Porosco.
Mr. Arcuri?
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Steigel?
Dr. Porosco.
Mr. Kozer?
Mr. Lewis. So we're tied.
So you'll have to wait till your next meeting when you have a full body, or you can take another nomination.
Does anyone want to make another nomination?
I'll make it easy, all right? I'll nominate Mr. Porosco.
I'll second.
I don't need to start the year off in controversy.
Any other nominations? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you. Congratulations, Tom. You get to handle the checks now.
Yeah.
You have to teach me, Frank.
I will. I'll come next in 3 weeks, and I'll show you what to do. Next is appointment of Personnel Appeals Committee.
Who's on there now?
Right now, it's myself, Dr. Porosco, and Mr. Steigel.
I'll stay on if you'll have me.
I'd happy to stay on.
And I'll stay on as well. So for this year, the Personnel Appeals Committee will be myself, Dr. Porosco, and Mr. Steigel. Next is appointment of the SHACOG representative. It was Ms. Shanafeld last year, and since she's absent tonight, I would hate to stick it with her again. So is there anyone who wants to do it? If not, we will save this for the next time when Allison is here to defend herself against a...
Does this have to be an elected official?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an administrative board, and there is a board that's made up of elected officials.
Okay.
How far ahead of time do we know the dates?
it's the,
Always the second or third Thursday of the month. I think there's 3 months where there isn't one. I want to say December, maybe
I'm not going
June,
to try to
July.
dissuade you, Tommy, but if you're already going to be vice chair and reviewing checks and all that, you don't want to take that on, too.
No.
So, all right, well,
Let's just table it.
we'll table it till next.
Table it, or was that your appointment?
No, it's not my appointment.
So I'll move the table it.
Have a second?
Yeah, I'll second the table.
All right. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0, Mr. Lauer. So what we'll do next time is we'll ask Allison if she wants to do it again. If not, then I guess we'll just arm wrestle for it, and loser gets it, I guess. Okay, next is appointment of professional consultants. First is...
Can I back up for 1 second on that SHACOG?
Yes.
Can you have more than one person? I know in the
Yes,
past
we've had a primary representative and alternates before.
Yeah, because last year
Yes.
Matt was the alternate.
Right.
Well, if he's the alternate, we should move him up.
The problem is, I can probably make half the Thursdays. I can't
I'm
make
just kidding.
a lot of them, though.
So,
All right.
well, let me ask you this, Paul. Are we required to actually have a designated representative and an alternate, or can we just, you are?
Send who-
Shake
Yeah,
hands,
we
that
could
you
all
have a
seven of them.
designated
Yeah.
representative,
We
yeah.
can't just, okay, I was going to say otherwise all of us could take turns and hit, 2 meetings a year and it'd be done with it. All right, next, appointment of township solicitor.
I move that we reappoint John M. Smith of Smith Butts as solicitor.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, appointment of township consulting engineer.
I move that we reappoint Gateway Engineers.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, appointment of township alternate consulting engineer.
I move that we reappoint Lennon Smith Soleret Engineering.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is appointment of township traffic engineer.
I move we appoint Traffic Planning and Design, or reappoint, and Mike Mudry.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Now we move on to boards and authorities. First is Cable Television Board.
So, with regard to the Cable Television Board, there are 2 members with terms expiring, Mr. McFarland and Mr. Wisniewski. Mr. Wisniewski is seeking reappointment to the Cable Board for a 3-year term.
I'll move Mr. Wisniewski's reappointment to the Cable Television Board.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer.
So what I was going to do is to schedule the 16th as a day to do interviews to fill board positions. So for with regard to the remaining appointment, unless council wants to do otherwise, we'll have interviews on that day.
I think we were going to let him know which of the candidates we
Right.
want.
There's 3 for.
Well, I'm saying, if we're looking at everything, I mean, there's a lot of Parks and Rec, a lot of library.
okay.
I think we could probably cut that back a little bit. I think, at least that's what I thought we were.
Yeah, I thought I thought Paul was going to whittle it down
Yeah,
to the 3
that was
people for
my,
each.
that was the direction I got from council, was to take a look at the resumes.
Okay.
But we can do them all that night since we don't have a meeting that night anyway. All right, next is Construction Appeals Board. We have 1 member whose term's expired, Mr. John Yadlowski. He's requesting reappointment.
I'll make the motion that we reappoint Mr. Yadlowski to the Construction Appeal Boards, since he didn't miss any meetings.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. All in
I
favor, say
actually
aye.
think he's
Aye.
an original
Opposed, say nay.
member.
It will be.
I think he's a
6-0,
charter
Mr.
member.
Lauer. I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I just thought it was important to understand that I think he's an actual charter member of that group. I don't know whether he's ever missed a meeting or not, but they don't meet very often.
I'm surprised I didn't meet at least once.
How many years has it been? They didn't meet in 2021 either, I don't believe.
The only appeals that they've ever heard are actually appeals that the township has had in front of them for projects. Very seldom do we get anyone who's interested in appealing the building.
By code, you're obligated to have.
Okay, next is the Environmental Quality Board. We have Miss Amanda Cribbs and Mr. Blaze Hollett who are seeking reappointment.
I'll move to reappoint both.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, we have the Library Board.
Oops, I missed one. Oh, there it is.
Traffic.
They're out of order.
Traffic impact
impact.
fees.
The next one's
Okay.
C.
Sorry.
That's okay, okay, well, okay, fine. We'll switch. We'll go to Impact Advisory, Traffic Impact Advisory Committee.
I'll move to reappoint Ryan Schweitzer.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And Ryan also, let the record show, attended all 1 meeting that the
Yeah.
Traffic Impact Fee Committee had last year. Now we'll go back to the Library Board. We have 4 members seeking reappointment. Scott Beinhauer. No, we have 4 members whose terms are expiring. And how many of these are seeking reappointment, Mr.
All
Lauer?
of them except
Mr. Easton.
Mr.
Professor
Easton.
Easton, okay. So Mr. Beinhauer, Mr. Parker, and Ms. Verlato are seeking reappointment.
I'll move that we reappoint those individuals
Second.
to the board.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Before you move on, one thing that I would want to point out is Mr. Easton has been on the board since 1981. And if anybody exemplifies the kind of dedication you get from your advisory boards, Mr. Easton does that. He also travels out of the area over the winter months, but when he gets back, I think it would be worth council's time to bring him in and recognize his service over that long period of time.
Okay, next is Parks and Recreation Board. We have 3 board members whose terms are expiring: Jeff Crummy, John Felsendager, and Sam Perlmutter. Mr. Crummy and Mr. Perlmutter are both seeking reappointment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is Peters Creek Sanitary Authority. We have
We have an opening.
we have an
Yeah, I
opening.
think We were planning to,
Yes, we interviewed 2 individuals last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago.
Is that Mr.
Mr. Harper and Mr. Tucker.
Was it Sherman?
You don't have their resumes.
which one was previously on the board?
Mr. Tucker was previously on the board.
Was it Paul that was previously on the board?
Rob Tucker was previously on the
I'll
board.
move to appoint Rob Tucker to replace Mr. Coe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Peters Township Sanitary Authority, 1 board member whose term is expiring, Ms. Rebecca Kaminsky. She's seeking reappointment. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is Planning Commission, and on the Planning Commission, we have 4 members whose terms are expiring. They're all seeking reappointment, correct?
Yes.
That's Mr. Salepsis, Mr. Wiley, Mr. Carter-Phillips, and Ms. Corbel.
I'll move that we reappoint those 4 individuals to the planning commission.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, we have Youth Commission. We have 5 board members whose terms are expiring: Kelly Rogers Bootman, Susan Deegan, Ty Kegaris, James Kokosinski, and Kathy Skidmore. Mr. Kegaris, Mr. Kokosinski, and Ms. Skidmore are seeking reappointment.
I'll move to reappoint those 3 individuals.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0. We also have 2 vacancies on the Youth Commission, and we have 4 applicants: Marie Lagovic, Gina Simino, Carl Pardini, and David Shepley. Does anyone want to make a motion to appoint any of those 4, or are we going to interview?
I'd make a motion we appoint Dave Shapley.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay.
That doesn't fill it all, though, right?
6-0, Mr. Lauer. I'll make a motion that we appoint Carl Pardini to the other opening.
I'll second.
Motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, we have the Zoning Hearing Board. Zoning Hearing Board, we have 2 members whose terms are expiring: Ms. Chisal Baldina and Jack Jones, and Ms. Baldina is seeking reappointment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And Mr. Jones is seeking reappointment as an alternate member.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next, we move on to miscellaneous designations. First is the official newspaper. We have consistently used the Observer Reporter as the official township newspaper. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that the Observer Reporter be declared the official newspaper for the township legal advertisements.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is to establish dates and times for regular council meetings for 2023. Section 2.10B of the Home Rule Charter requires council to meet twice monthly for regular meetings. Council currently meets the 2nd and 4th Mondays of each month at 7:30 p.m. Council can select whatever day of the month it wishes to meet. If council continues with the second and fourth Mondays, Mr. Lauer would recommend that we meet the third Monday in December, which is December 18th.
All right, I'll move to hold council meetings on the second and fourth Mondays of each month, with the exception of December. We'll meet on December 18th rather than Christmas.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is renewal of municipal liens.
There's no action required by council on the outstanding liens.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll move on to police payroll deductions, the resolution establishing payroll deductions for police pension plan for 2023.
I move that we continue to make the 5% maximum contribution to be withheld from police pay, which is, I believe, resolution number 010123.
Second.
Motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is appointment of representatives to the Washington County Sewage Council.
I move that we reappoint Ryan Jarosky as the primary representative and Seth Coons as the alternate.
Second.
Motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is enter into a depository services agreement with Washington Financial Banks.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second.
Motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Motion and the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Now is audience comments. This is the point of the meeting where any member of the audience can speak for up to 5 minutes on a non-agenda item. Mr. Brown, I see you heading to the podium, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. 123 Druid, Anthony Brown, the continuing Druid cell tower saga. Mr. Porosco, Mr. Kozer, Mr. Stiegel have walked the property with me. Mr. Zook was out there. Frank and I have discussed it a few times. I'm very happy to, I think you're in that large seat, Mr. Lewis.
That's correct.
I'd love to show you the site also, get your viewpoint, Mr. Rose. I know that you've worked with the trades in the past and may be able to add some insight. My overall perspective, Tom, I know that when we last communicated, you were going to, I have spoken to Dan Oswald at West Penn, who then booted it to an Alan Shemp at First Energy. He's a VP over this area in the installations, and he intimated to me that he was going to be looking deeply into whether this could be rerouted, facaded, anything done at all to make us more appealing to the visual. Were you able to talk to anybody, Tom?
I can't remember which day it was last week. I did call when you gave me his contact information, left him a detailed message. He has not returned my call.
He has not returned your call. Mr. Stiegel, were you able to reach out to anybody?
I reached out to Mr. Was this Shemp?
Shemp, yeah.
I left him a voicemail and haven't received a return call yet.
And Frank came out and walked the site with me last week and saw a lot of the safety issues. And I know that we talked about you possibly following up or thinking about bringing in people from the utilities and seeing what they can do. Do you have any input on
Not
your
yet,
thoughts?
Mr. Brown. I'll be honest with you. Last week being the holiday, I didn't reach out to anybody.
So the general feeling was when we walked the site, there's a lot of concerns over one of the cement pads that was poured, hanging over, hasn't been cleaned up. Today, a fencing company arrived to try to, I think you saw a lot of loose wires in a dangerous situation there, the way it was left. On our side of the street, I'm 123, the Rebish family lives at 121, so they cut through the road, they ran power through and tied it into the electrical system. There's a couple of other utilities out and exposed on the surface, and nobody came out. Also, they're planting grass on the side where the tower is, but they ripped up the yard at 121. There's nothing being done there to clean that up, and I don't know what utilities are hanging out on the surface. Do we interact with these folks at all? Is there anybody or any that could be sent to the site to see if this is a safe situation and if anybody's going to clean it up?
Yeah, I've reached out to the person from Verizon who's
Cell tower?
who's managing the construction of the cell tower, with the specific question about being able to screen at least the base of this area. He's to get back to me. I was off all last week, so I haven't had to talk with him. But
Do you mean the overall tower, or are you talking about?
I'm talking about the overall tower, so that at least at the base of it, it's screened from your side of the road as well as you drive down either side.
Right, because, is that the newest picture, Paul?
That's the picture you gave me.
Right, so you can see compared to last week, if they are going to do any screening, I mean, at least maybe they can have it to enough of a height to cover this mess up. My hope is that they can reroute this thing. You can't really tell, but that's the far corner towards the Fazell house, and it used to be a straight run up to here. Now it's coming all the way across the base of the tower, up this new pole and back across and up, so.
Tony, we did get a copy of the building permit and the drawings today. We were waiting for us when we got here, and one of the conditions of the permit is that all ground-based equipment shall be permanently screened with privacy fence. So at the very least, I think the administration will make certain that
So one thing that was new, which I don't understand, this was supposed to be a Verizon install. This is Verizon. This is the existing AT&T that was here. They clearly did a massive upgrade with this box here that all the fiber optics are coming out of. So I don't know how Verizon install ended up being, we're going to do AT&T work. Seth was going to pull the original and see if they were allowed under this permit.
And that's what they have there.
Did they intimate in there in any way that they're going to be doing AT&T work?
No, but the drawing does show the wiring going.
Okay, well, yeah, that's pointing that out.
And Mr. Brown, I thought we had provided you that already. Is that drawing that they?
No,
have?
Ed showed it. You might have. Ed actually showed it to me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's an extra copy here that you can have.
Okay.
Well, you're right, Miss. When I went out there with you last week, I was appalled at the way they've laid out the concrete for that system that they have there. I mean, there's no question that that's not stable. I mean,
Right,
the fact that it
concrete-
hangs over the edge of the hillside.
And to be clear on that, so here's the mechanicals, the electrical for the original AT&T. So the new one, there's all these poles, everything's sticking out, hangs over on this hillside here.
Right.
That's the main mechanicals that drive this, not these boxes with the fiber.
Well, and these schematic drawings are misleading too. I mean, there's no way you can tell from this one picture that's going to be that large of a diameter of cabling from this picture that they gave there.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, if you look at it, it looks like one cable that's going to run right along the brace and then go up. I mean, looking at it from here, that's...
So I think it's important that this never happens in Peters Township again. So whenever we're dealing with these cell towers and companies, we need to make sure we're getting a better representation of what is going to look like.
So can we delve into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
I think we're a growing community. Thank you. We're a growing community, so we're going to have more of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that John Smith can weigh in a little better on what we could do legally, but as you mentioned before, I think that they'd want to work with us because we're kind of a partner in all this. We're advocating for additional towers in the township, so I don't think it has to be a contentious issue. I really don't think it should be
Right, a
difficult
partnership's
for us
a
going
two-way
forward saying, hey,
street.
can you cover this up? Can you make this look a little better? I'm sure they would have no problem working with us, but if we don't reach out and make those attempts, then they're just going to do what they want to do.
So my suggestion would be we kind of need a point person on this, dealing with all the utility companies. I know that we don't have a ton of employees here, it's growing, but I would like to see somebody that this process runs through. When Ed's showing me this drawing, it's like, I pulled this, and the wires kind of look like what they drew. Well, we're addressing it after it's done. if we would have had somebody there that would have received these plans and said, why are we doing this and can we do this better? Can we make a straight vertical run versus this monstrosity? Can we gussy it up a little bit and not make it so ostentatious? That's my feel. I think that we really, really need to look at somebody that the process runs through, one designated person. You know, I don't know how the departments are laid out, but if you have one person interacting that these companies know is the point man on all these issues, it seems that's where you get your partnership developed.
Well, as you know, Mr. Brown, I live down the street from you, and this really gets under my skin. I mean, I will say my cell service is better now, but the cost of what you guys have to look at every day, it's awful. And rest assured, I mean, it's a little comfort to you guys, I understand, because that's what you have now, but we're never going to allow something like this to happen again.
I don't want to deal with this, but I also don't want to deal with Tower 3, 4, and 5 coming.
No,
Now, you stood there on the street, right? And you looked down, and you made the comment, and you were correct. There's another higher tower right across the way. It doesn't have Druid Drive leading to it, but maybe we should be encouraging them. Do you think Simmons owns that piece of property where the next tower is on the adjoining hill? You know, maybe we can work with them to encourage development. It might cost them more money. They're not going to be able to bring a 70-ton crane like they did on Druid, but you're also dealing with residents here. You know, I know the medical studies a little bit. I know this stuff hasn't been proven, but I do know this. Having this stuff next to you doesn't improve your health. So a lot of people say it's not proven. Well, I can take you through the households surrounding this, and we can talk about illness. Something's not right, and we don't need more of this. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Brown.
Thank you.
Follow-up question. The tower we have in Peterswood Park has a fence enclosure around it. How did that come to be? Was that an agreement with the power company?
No, that's the power company's insistent
Okay.
that be there. And the new pole that's going up that will have sports lighting, that equipment will all be fenced off as well be the base of the pole will be fenced off.
So when this building permit says that all ground-based equipment shall be permanently screened with a privacy fence as shown on the final construction drawings, we're only talking about...
They're talking about the
actual
equipment that's on the
units
base,
behind,
but what
right?
I'm talking to Verizon about is actually extending privacy fencing at least on 3 sides of that tower itself. So they'd be on the 2 sides that are next to the people's homes, as well as the front that faces the street, so that there would be at least some relief.
Right.
I mean, you can't screen a tower that's that tall, but I think it would provide some relief. And the individual I spoke to at Verizon, whose name escapes me right now, said that he would have to be able to speak to the power company to make sure they would allow that underneath their tower. So that's where we left it when I went on vacation.
And just to reiterate, the utility blocks between 121 and 123, is there anybody in the township that can come out and look at this?
I'll be up.
And also that they tore up the ground pretty good for my neighbors.
I'll be up.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, seeing no one else in the audience, I presume there are no other audience comments, so we'll move on to unfinished business, of which there is none. We'll move on to new business, of which there is none. We'll move on to correspondence. Any correspondence, Mr. Lauer? Nope. We'll move on to payroll and bills. I reviewed the payroll and bills. I move they be approved as submitted. There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. 6-0, Mr. Lauer. Next is committee minutes. Does anybody want to discuss any of the various board or committee minutes? Okay, moving on to miscellaneous. So you have police department reorganization.
And inside your docket, there was a report that shows you how the department's been reorganized. One of the things that the chief would like to do is to, as we have done in the past when there are promotions, is to have those officers attend a council meeting for a formal ceremony, and I was going to propose we do that at our next meeting.
It's fine by me. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to see on the agenda for the next meeting? Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? We have an executive session.
Very brief.
Meeting adjourned.